Bill Teegins.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Eddie Sutton Show. It's a very critical portion of the season for the Cowboys as they play 3 straight home games, 5 of the next 6 at home. And, Coach, you got off to a great start Wednesday with a win over Kansas State.
Bill, it's good to have you back. We missed you last week, but
you.
I know you had a good time down at the Super Bowl. It's a lot more fun to do these shows when you win. And last week, when Tom Dorado was substituting for you, we had gotten beat by Missouri and on that last second shot at Kansas by Woodbury. So it wasn't really a fun show. But this was a lot better because we beat Kansas State last night 80-59 and probably played one of the best games that we've had all season long. And like you mentioned, it's important now. You're really in the gut part of your conference schedule. We've got Iowa State here Saturday afternoon, and then the University of Oklahoma Monday evening, and then that will complete half of the Big 8 round robin. And if we win those 2 games, we can be 5-2 and right back in the chase.
We're going to take a look at the highlights in a moment, but it was really nice to get a great effort off the bench. Then you needed it with the fact that Fred Burley wasn't playing last night and Country got into some foul trouble.
Last evening when we defeated the Wildcats, I believe the bench probably produced more positive things than we'd seen all season long. They've been doing a good job maybe at the defensive end and rebounding, but last evening we got a lot more point production. And a young man that we felt should be playing like he did last night all season long, Scott Pierce came in, got 11 points, rebounded well, and really played a terrific game at the defensive end in place of Fred Burley. So that was a real plus. Keontae Roberts continued to play better than he played earlier in the year. And we always know Brendan Manger and Scott Sutton are going to do a good job coming off the bench. And then we had a young man, Ben Baum, who hasn't played in about 6 or 7 weeks. He came in there when Bryant Reeves got in foul trouble and really got the crowd going. He was on the floor hustling, diving after loose balls, and did a good job. So that was really a plus that our bench did give us a lot of production last night, and I hope that's a good sign for what's to come.
Okay, 80-59 was the final score, so when we come back, we're going to take a look at some great highlights from Gallagher-Iba Arena when the Eddie Sutton Show continues. Welcome back to the Eddie Sutton Show. Last night back at Gallagher-Iba Arena for only the 7th time this year. Nice to be back in there.
When you played 20 games and only played 7 on your home floor, there's something wrong with the person that put the schedule together, and that's me, and that's not going to happen next year or in the future.
The crowd was really into it, sold out again as always, and boy, I think everybody was excited about the game.
They were excited, and I agree with you. I felt the crowd was the best that we've seen it this season. In fact, I had told our squad before the game if the crowd didn't get a little more active than what they have been, that I was going to mention it, because I felt like that they certainly had not played the part of the 6th man like they had in recent years. But last night it was more like home.
Cowboys off to kind of a slow start, Kansas State too, but a nice pass entry there from Scott Pierce.
Good high-low pass from Pierce, and Bryant Reeves did what we've been trying to get him to do, and that is take that ball to the basket with some authority, and it was a very, very nice play. Bryant had 20 points in the game, 10 rebounds. That's about his average.
Boy, Brooks hit a streak where he couldn't miss.
He lit it up. Bryant Reeves was 10 out of 11 from the field, and Brooks was 10 out of 13, and 2 out of 3 from three-point range. And there you see Brooks again knocking one down. We shot the highest percentage for the season, 61%. Great defensive play by Brooks, what you call running through the passing lane, and he goes down and lays it up. And young man plays with a lot of emotion, and he's certainly one of the great guards we have in college basketball.
Skia Jones missing. You got a nice performance from Keontae Roberts on the rebound there. I thought he played one of his best games.
He did, and there's Brooks lighting it up again. In basketball, it's a game of momentum, and when you have a run, you want to extend it as long as you can. And last night there were 3 big runs that we had, and that was really the difference in the ball game. When the other team gets on a streak or they have the momentum, you got to curtail it as quickly as you can. You do it with changing defense. You do it by maybe putting them on defense and handling the ball a little longer at the offensive end, or maybe you call timeout. But that's one of the things when you're coaching there on the bench that you've got to be able to control is the momentum of the game, and sometimes you can, sometimes you can't.
Anthony Bean, we saw him miss a shot just a moment ago, 1 of 17. He's really struggled shooting the ball, even though his shot looks pretty good.
It looked good, and it just didn't go in, but one of the big keys in this basketball game was defensive board play. Now, there's not a good example of it, and there's a a call that some people in the stands didn't think it was a foul, but it was Bryant Reeves' third foul, and we took a risk by allowing him to stay in the ball game. But our defensive board play was very good. K-State's a good rebounding ball club, and our defense was very good. We held them to 35% shooting and beat them on the boards, I believe, by 6 or 7.
Scott Pierce seemed to just be much more relaxed last night. I know that's something you've been working with him.
Played with some confidence, and there's another look at that nice pass by Bryant Reeves. He gets a plus assist on that one. That was a nice play. A lot of times teams will come over and double him, and he hasn't been able to swing the ball back to the weak side, but he was able to do it then. And there's what we try to do in transition, get a shooter spotted up on the perimeter, and Scott Sutton made a good pass to Randy Rutherford. There's a nice pass by Randy to Brooks, and he hits the last basket before halftime, and we're up 39-32.
7-point lead, feeling pretty
reminded
good.
our team at halftime that against Missouri and against Kansas we also were leading, and we didn't come out of the dressing room with the same intensity. But last evening that didn't occur. We came right out and took off right where we had left when we went into halftime. They switched to a zone defense, and that's what you try to do, is overload the floor and get the ball in the high post. And Scott Pierce made a nice pass into Bryant Reeves, and there's a good pass from the high post into to Scott Pierce, and what we call a little curl off a screen on the baseline.
And
Scott Sutton hitting the three, and we shot, as I said, 61% from the field, and included in that was 6 out of 13 from three-point range.
Here's the fourth foul on Country. How did you feel at that point? Because that was a big play. He picks up his fourth foul. There's still, I think, about, 13 minutes left in the game.
Well, we had to bring him to the bench, and we put Ian Phillip in for a while, and he made a couple of mistakes, took him out, and Ben Baum came in. But you never feel good with one of your star players over there on the wood next to you in foul trouble, and especially someone like Bryant.
Here's Ben fighting for the ball right here.
Fans like this. They like you when you get on that floor and on your hands and look at him. He's going to be a good, nice player. He's just a freshman, and the injury certainly slowed him up, but he's going to be good. And Randy Rutherford didn't score as many points, but one of the keys in this ball game was shutting down Ski Jones. And even though Jones led their ball club, and it looks like he scored a lot of points, 26, it took 24 shots to get that. And you have to give Terry Collins and Randy Rutherford a lot of credit because they covered him most of the night. And here's the last play of the game.
There it is. That's a pretty good way to end it. Cowboys 80-59. Oklahoma State now 14-6 overall, 3-2 in the Big 8 Conference. And obviously, Coach, that's a great way to start this homestand.
Well, it is a great way, and you don't have much time to prepare for the Cyclones or the Sooners, but at this stage of the season, I'm not sure rest isn't important, and that you get a lot of shooting in, because regardless of how well you run your offensive plays, if the ball doesn't go down, you're not going to win. So the next couple of days before we play Iowa State, we'll cut back on the time that we're out on the court, but we'll do a lot of shooting.
Well, when we come back, we all know that recruiting is so important. When we come back on the Eddie Sutton Show, we're going to take a look at how the Cowboys have fared in recruiting this year. Welcome back to the Eddie Sutton Show. Recruiting is the lifeblood of all college basketball programs, and in this week's Off the Court feature, Tom Dorado will take a look at recruiting.
The activity in and around Gallagher-Iba Arena has long since come to an end. Practice, staff meetings, tape watching, they are all over for another day. Now the work can really begin. The lights on the second floor of the southeast corner will burn long into the night as assistant coaches Paul Graham and Sean Sutton resume their recruiting duties. When you talk recruiting, you go straight to the heart of a major college basketball program. Without good players, it is virtually impossible to consistently win on this level.
I think in anything that you try to do, whether people talk about horse races, you're never going to win the Kentucky Derby or the Preakness unless you have a great racehorse. The same is true in college basketball. Average players can only take you so far as coaching the game and knowledge of the game. To get to the biggest level, to the NCAA tournaments, to win conference championships, to get to Final Four, you've got to have great players.
No matter how big the playbook, that binder with addresses and telephone numbers of prospective student athletes should be twice as big.
Well, you're exactly right. It may be more like 4 or 5 times as big, because the most important thing for college coaches and in any sport would be the players that you have executing the plays that's in the book.
Now, recruiting is an all-day, everyday job. I know that. How do you avoid burnout after so many years of doing this?
Well, you know, for me, I know that as long as we get good players, that Coach Sutton can coach them, and as long as we win, that's going to help me to, you know, get where I want to get. And plus, I really enjoy what I do. I mean, I like the competitiveness, I like the recruiting, I like being in the position to help young men become a better, successful person. So with me, I don't see myself ever getting tired because I really like what I do.
Tell us a little bit now about the early signees that Oklahoma State has put on the dotted line.
Well, you know, a lot of scouting service has rated our class, Tom, in the top 10 recruiting class in the country. And that's because we signed 3 players who have been rated by most experts in the top 30, 40 players in the country. We signed another 7-foot center named John Nelson from Arkansas, who's a very good basketball player. He's big like Bryant. Probably at this particular phase may be better than Bryant when Bryant was a senior in high school. Strong, great passer, good inside player, so that will allow us the luxury again of having a 7-foot center for the next 4 years. Jason Scare is a 6'7" forward who's very versatile, who was recruited by Notre Dame, Virginia, Minnesota, Stanford, California, some very good schools, top 20 schools, and we were able to get him out of Houston. And he is a real mobile forward in the mode of the Duke forwards like Christian Laettner and Danny Ferry, where he's 6'7", very skilled, can shoot the 3, can rebound. Coach Sutton and I was talking to Jason last week, and he was telling us that he had a 40-point game and a 16-rebound game. Then he followed that up with 37 points, 17 rebounds. So he's a very good player. The third player is another top 10 guard in the country named DeJuan Baker, also from Texas, from Dallas area. 6'3", athletic. He's in the mold of the guards that Coach Sutton has coached at Arkansas and Kentucky. Like, he's very athletic, can defend you, and he can play either guard spot. And the other night, DeJuan Baker had a 41-point game. So we feel really good about the 3 players that we've signed and feel like they can come in and contribute to the success of our basketball program.
The name Eddie Sutton, his sparkling career record, Oklahoma State University. Well, these are all strong positives when talking to a prospective student-athlete.
I think you've got to have something you can sell, and at Oklahoma State right now, we're very fortunate that we have a lot of positive things going in our direction. The fact that we've got a basketball coach sitting there they will come play for. That's won over 500 college games, taken 4 teams to 4 different schools to the NCAA tournament. He put 20 players in the NBA, and the fact that Oklahoma State has been in the top 20 the last 3 or 4 years. They're playing in the NCAA tournaments. They're playing for Big 8 championships. So we have a lot of positives, a lot of things we can sell, and I think that's very appealing to recruits, because when recruits look at programs, I think they want to go somewhere where they can get recognition, and you get that by playing on national TV. They want to play for a coach who's been successful. And they want, a lot of times, winning is the next thing that's very important. They want to be able to play in the NCAA tournament because there's really no other feeling like being part of March Madness.
Does the name Sutton open some doors for you?
I think so. I think because of the success of my father, that it's enabled me to meet a lot of people along the way, and I'm only, I guess, 25 years old and pretty young as far as if you take into granted the coaching profession on the college level, but because of the fact that I've been around him and got a chance to meet a lot of people, sometimes it becomes a little bit easier.
Can your age work to your benefit because you're talking to a student athlete or prospective student athlete who is closer to your age yet?
I think so. I think that a lot of times, because of the fact, especially when I think a lot of those kids had the opportunity to watch me play at Kentucky and Oklahoma State, and I think that I think sometimes they feel more comfortable because I am close to their age, and they know that I was in a game situation not too far down the road from where they're able to be. So a lot of times I think it does help.
Obviously, this is great training for someone who wants to be a head coach someday.
I think if you're going to be successful, like I said earlier, you've got to have players. I think the goal for Coach Graham and myself is someday that I think everybody's got to have ambitions, and I'm very ambitious. And from the time I was 4 or 5 years old, I knew what I wanted to be, and someday I want to be a college basketball coach and run my own program. But I know if I'm going to be successful and be as good as I want to be, along the way, that you have to learn the guidelines and the way to get it done in recruiting, because the biggest thing we said earlier, you've got to have good players if you're going to win championships. So it's very, very important.
You're exactly right, because what happens is if you can work and recruit and work hard and be loyal to someone else, you most definitely should be able to do that for yourself. and not only in recruiting, but the other areas of coaching that you learn from somebody like working with Coach Sutton. But if you can recruit and coach a little bit, you probably will be a success in this business.
Another nice piece by Tom Dorado, and when you talk about recruiting, I'm sure some of our people don't understand exactly how it works. You always over-recruit. You know, if you'd go out and pick out the 3 or 4 players you want every year, you do that. So you have a long list. When you looked at that book, where you start out with a big number and then it dwindles down, and you can bring in so many young people to your campus for official visits, which you do. So it's a percentage game. You might go after 3 point guards with the idea that we hope we get one of them. But we're very pleased with the recruiting class that we were able to sign in the fall. All of them good players, good students, and young men that should represent Oklahoma State in a class manner. Paul and Sean both did an outstanding job, and they're the only 2 assistant coaches that can go out on the road and actually recruit. The rule says that the 2 assistants, full-time assistants, and the head coach may do this, but only 2 of us can go out at the same time. John Pelfrey does a lot of telephone work. He can recruit over the telephone, or when a recruit comes to your campus, then you can have all the coaches recruiting him. So we have a lot to sell here at Oklahoma State. We're happy with the recruiting class. We hope in the spring that we can sign a couple of other guys. We're still looking at a quality guard and maybe a power type player. And so recruiting is an endless process. When you finish, you start on next year.
Well, it looks like it's going to be a lot of exciting things to come. And when we come back on the Eddie Sutton Show, we're going to take a look ahead to Oklahoma and Iowa State. And welcome back to the Eddie Sutton Show. And coach, as we take a look at the Big 8 standings, things kind of jumbled up behind Missouri up at the top.
Well, Missouri has really played well. We got them started, I think, about 10 days ago. But there's a big game Saturday down in Norman. The University of Oklahoma is playing very well right now, and they've got a chance to upset the Tigers, but still too early. There's still a lot of teams that are in contention to challenge the Tigers for the Big 8 championship. And you just need to take care of your own business, and that's what we're going to be doing at 1 o'clock this Saturday when we host the Cyclones out in Boulder. Kansas State travels to play the University of Colorado. Missouri is at Oklahoma, as I mentioned. Nebraska plays Kansas on national television on Sunday afternoon. And then Monday night, ESPN comes to town, and it'll be rocking. It always is when the Sooners come to Stillwater, and that'll be a very important game for both ball clubs. Nebraska's at Kansas State on Wednesday. Colorado's at Missouri. And Iowa State goes to play a non-conference game with the Billikens of St. Louis.
Iowa State, let's talk a little bit about the Cyclones. Obviously a very tragic accident, Lauren Meyer getting hurt. He is out. Cyclones have obviously struggled since he's been gone.
Well, Lauren Meyer was averaging about 20 points and 10 rebounds, and there's no ball club in college basketball can lose a player like that and still continue to play as well as they were playing. But they've got a couple of guys. Mika Leak hit 37 against Colorado the other night, and Hoiberg is one of the top guards we have in the league. And those 2 guys together are averaging about 40 points. So Iowa State is a very explosive team because they shoot the ball so well. They're shooting over 50% as a team for the season to lead the Big 8. So we have a lot of respect for Iowa State.
I know coaches don't like to look ahead, but we've mentioned it already. OU comes in Monday night, national television, big Monday. This place will be rocking.
Well, they're playing very well right now, and I'll be very surprised if they don't upset the University of Missouri on Saturday. Jeff Webster is just having a banner season. He hit 44 the other night against SMU. Ryan Miner's playing well. Anchis has come on to really do a good job at the points. So the Sooners and the Cowboys, anytime we play, it's bedlam.
I know the basketball office has received a lot of calls about camps coming up. Can you mention something about that real quick?
Well, anyone that's interested in sending their son to our basketball camp this summer can write for a brochure. But one of the things that's neat this year, the NCAA changed the rule. You can use your own players in camp. So Big Country and Brooks and Randy and all the guys are going to be there at camp this summer to assist the coaching staff. So if anyone's interested in our basketball camp, we'll just call our office or write, and we'll send you a brochure.
Oh, you can't beat that, having to learn if you're a big man from the big guy, Big Country.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun at those camps, and I think every young man that's ever attended one of our camps has gone away thinking they're a better player and knowing they're a better player, and we try to teach them some other things besides that.
All right, Coach, good luck, and again, don't forget Iowa State coming up Saturday, Oklahoma on Monday. For Coach Sutton, I'm Bill Teegins. We'll see you next week on the Eddie Sutton Show.